Oh, and I had Derek down. Ron Fraser,
Yep.
Raina Rubin,
Here.
Santina,
Yeah.
and Kate. That's everybody. So here's, I could have put it up on another screen, I guess, if I was technically.
Oh, that's all right. You don't, as long as you know what we need to talk about,
Oh, okay.
I want to have it in front of me, that's all.
So the first thing is the site visit to 1006 Liberty Street, and Ron and Santina were there with myself, and they can give you their impressions. We took a bunch of pictures. Ron just said he had like 75. I have a bunch, but I haven't downloaded them. I guess the purpose of the visit was kind of a look-see to see what could possibly be done with the property.
Mhm.
But in my opinion, the short answer is it needs everything. I mean, there are, I don't even know where to begin. There's outdated electrical, just taped off in one of the ceilings. There's, I mean, I'm sure it has some really good bones. It's very difficult to tell what portions of the building were 1693. Looking at it, I would think that, you know, some of the attic timbers are timbers. They have a bark on them and all, but it's very possible that the original building was like one story, and when they expanded, they just used those members and moved them up or moved them out. Because there are a lot of other details. The stair railing detail is clearly late 19th century. There's a lot of details that just don't jive. And the basement of the house, when you look at it on that long side, that front elevation, the basement is only like half of it centered on the front. It's odd. So it's clearly been added onto. So it's very difficult to walk in and just say this or that's original or this portion's original. You know, really, I know the town doesn't have a lot of money right now, but my recommendation would be to hire a historic preservation professional and do a historic structures report, because it's very difficult to tell. It looks to me like some things were moved. There are some corner fireplaces. I don't know if they're actually functional. One had a grate on the first floor, but
They said no, they're not.
none of them.
No.
So they probably need to be sleeved. There is an extraordinary amount of work to be done there. Everything is, I can't think of anything that doesn't need to be touched. So.
Well, I think what's going to happen now is Larry, Councilor Mackin, I believe, is the counselor in that district. And I know that Melissa has talked with the mayor about having some kind of stakeholders meeting where different people, they've asked the Conservation Commission take a look at the open space. And that was kind of the idea, that if the Historic Commission went in and looked at the house, that everybody can get together in a room and come up with some kind of plan.
Sure.
How it should be used. And for those that may not have been able to make it, if they still want to see it, I'm sure I can arrange something with George to get you in. I don't believe the woman's living there now any longer.
Yeah, they're
She's
moving.
gone?
No,
No.
she's still there.
Well,
Oh,
they're in the process of moving out.
Okay,
But they're having a new property built for them. It's not quite ready.
okay.
So,
So I don't know kind of the stat, we may be ahead of things, having you guys go and look at it, but I have a
think
feeling,
so.
I have a feeling that there's gonna be some kind of meeting very shortly called, so I know they're gonna just turn to you folks for some ideas, so.
sure.
I think Liz hit the nail on the head when she said we should hire a preservationist to go and do a real assessment of the building. Because there are clearly some very interesting early features and paneling and flooring, but there's just a hodgepodge of many other things. And I mean, I went up in the attic and you can see through the walls and it's through some of the sides of the windows and things like that. So, you know,
Just
a lot of work would need to be done on it.
Frankly, I don't know
Or
how,
something like that.
Frankly, I don't know how those people have lived it the last 35 years. It's unlivable.
It's my first thought. I don't want to put on the record, but raised 2 small kids there. They've been
I
there
know.
40 years, 30 years.
35 years.
1985 they bought.
Did they? Okay.
So how,
Raina, you started to say something. I'm sorry.
well, I was wondering about what the cost is associated with the hiring of, the professional to do the assessment in the range. What's the cost range?
I've been doing a lot of these lately. And, off the top of my head, I'd say probably around $30,000 because it's close by. Ones that we do way up on the border of Vermont can run about $60K. But these are, it's a 2-story house. They're firms that are right here in town. One's in Natick that could easily do this. But it really needs a full assessment, MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, there's just so lead paint testing really needs to be looked at. Probably a structural engineer should come in. The floors are literally, which might be okay, but the time to, it may have had differential sediment. It may not be something that needs to be corrected tomorrow, but I would, as I do throughout my life, I would recommend bringing somebody in as a professional to look at each and every item. You'll end up with a list in construction specification format, and it'll tell you basically what each thing is, what it would cost to bring it up to code, and then a list of priorities. So you may need to address structural right away, and you may not need to address plumbing, or you may need to address electrical right away, but you don't need to worry about the roof. But all those things really need to be considered.
So the code that they're going to compare to is residential.
Correct. But you might not need to fix those attic windows right away, but it looks like they're single pane windows. They said they very proudly told us that the storms were original when they bought the house in 1985. They've never been opened. They were painted shut.
They don't work.
I don't think those storms go back that far because they were exactly like the ones on my house when I bought it.
There's a well on the
Built
property.
in the
that they say,
1880s.
Oh, there is?
something. They say there's 2. We never found the second one, but that's something. There's large. They had a tree fall, and so there's large sections of the trunk. But that's a danger. That's something that has to be considered.
Yeah. So if I could ask, did George take you around, or was it the homeowner?
Is the homeowner?
Was George there? He never
No.
showed?
No.
Oh, I talked to him on Friday afternoon. Okay. So I think what I'll do is just let them know that some of you have been in there, but I don't know, and I can look into it, is if the preservation could be paid by CPA funds.
Yeah, I was wondering, that was one of my next questions.
So, well, maybe I can, between now and our next meeting, or I can look into that and find out if that's an eligible activity.
Also, the site before anything happens, or George starts getting any bulldozers in and working, that site is, I would say, an 8 to 10 foot drop off. So he's probably going to have to, in 2 dimensions, Bob, we're talking about 1006 Liberty Street. In 2 dimensions, it looks like a lot of property, but when you look at that house, it's pretty close on one side to where the drop is.
Mhm.
So, and it doesn't have a full foundation over to that point. So, I'd be very, Ron was saying this, it'd be a good idea to know somebody on the Conservation Commission, or we need to know where the new property line will be and how close the house actually is to it before
Simply
having
close.
equipment in.
So I know that Melissa has kind of headed up this whole project, and I mean, one of the minimum requirements is a 21E anytime we buy property, so that will get underway. But she has talked about maneuvering the lot lines to meet the zoning bylaw as best we can, but with the intention of keeping most of it open space, what we bought. So, you know, the people that live next to the, I think it's a Sunoco or Shell station, whatever it was, the gas station, the Prules have not been happy with the process. It wouldn't surprise me if there's some appeal taken on it. They want him to shift what would be a building for like a CVS around the corner and up Liberty Street towards the house. But that from a planning standpoint, that's not what we want to do. And we've kind of held firm on that because of the whole traffic pattern and circulation. So for the house, they would, you know, I believe it's Residence B would be 15,000 square feet, and they would make it so it wouldn't be a non-conforming on that. But with the idea that the remaining land would be open space. Because there'd be two different type of restrictions put on the property. The open space restriction would be there, and then a historic preservation. So, I mean, some of the thoughts that were thrown out was about a potential sale of the house. Now, they felt that maybe someone who was into preservation may be interested in the house. It sounds like it's a big undertaking from the way you folks saw. Or,
A lot of money.
Well, I made that comment on Saturday. Probably the best thing we could do was sell the place. And there are people who are interested in taking on a project like that. I mean, look at the Jaconias Thayer house that sold for, I think, $300,000, and now it's on the market for $1.3 million because he did a lot of restoration on it. But there are people who like to take on those projects. I don't know that the town is in a position to do it.
Yeah.
I don't, to be honest with you, my experience working with the town, we can't take care of the
No.
buildings we have now. And our department at certain points has been asked to take, you know, they created municipal facilities, but the guys aren't historic, you know, they don't have preservation in mind.
Right.
I mean, I'm fighting with them in Cahill Auditorium about the windows, so I would hate to have to get down to that level. And we have done one affordable unit on Pond Street back when the mayor first started, and it was done under the direction of the Housing Authority. They oversaw it, but it was a big project for them to oversee, to get everything up to code. A young family moved in, they had the lead, you know, had to be taken care of and all of that. So I think there's gonna have to be some thought about what we want to do.
For sure.
So I will let them know that you guys got a chance to look at it. If the others who didn't still want to take a look, let me know. I'll try to set something up. I apologize. George told me he'd be there, so I don't know what happened. I'll find out. But
It was fine. It would
It didn't make
they
any difference. Yeah, it
okay.
wouldn't have made any difference. They were really
Okay.
nice.
It would have
actually.
been really crowded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good.
And I will look into it, the question of the CPA funding, see if,
Yep.
and we let you know at the next meeting.
I mean, it just seems like, I don't know, if the town is at all interested in hanging on to it, it's best to know what they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Is it possible, I was just thinking, like a home office, like for an architect or someone like that to have, or is it just zoned residential? Because sometimes you also get professional people that like to be in historic.
Residence B allows the homeowner residence of a resident attorney, architect, or physician, I believe, Residence B.
There's some provision in there. We tried to amend in the comprehensive zoning rewrite to allow home occupations, but I say that, as I say all the time, that went nowhere. So it's pretty restrictive what could be done there.
Yeah, I was just thinking that any kind of commercial enterprise might have more money, you know, to put into something
Mm.
than just a resident. But
Well, you know, someday in my copious amounts of spare time, I'm going to do a research paper. I've started looking into this, but a lot of 18th century houses because we didn't really have a banking system, have a separate door that leads directly into a room like an office. The Royal Mansion is like that. The property after property in Massachusetts, a lot in Rhode Island I've seen, and that property as well has a side door that leads right into what they use now as a living room. So there's a front door that goes into a hall, and then there's a secondary door that goes into on the side that goes into could be an office. It was probably the main room. It's just very interesting. And we went in through the back door through the kitchen, but it's been added on to so many times, hard to tell.
Mm.
But it does have that feature. So I'm more concerned about the topography because I hadn't realized it was such a steep drop off, and that's going to really affect how that property can be used. I think it's quite remarkable. Somehow by driving by there, I'd never noticed it was so steep. So
It's on the other side. You can't
it's
see
all
it.
wooded.
Okay. Anything else you want me to relay on to the administration about that?
No, we're happy to meet with anyone if they want to do that.
Okay.
Make myself available.
Well, if I hear of anything with Councilor Mackin, I think they're going to ask him to take the lead in trying to get everyone together. We'll make sure you all know the date and time. So if you want to go or Zoom in.
So the next thing is the Central Fire Station Architect Award.
So I guess they have not signed the contract yet for the architect. I've been assured by Nicole and the mayor that they are well aware that there needs to be a certificate of appropriateness for anything there. So that's good. But I think my suggestion was going to ask the committee or the people, project manager, to have him or her come to one of your future meetings and kind of talk about before it gets too entailed. And, you know, we always seem to hear that, oh, well, if we had known that earlier, we could have done this or that. And I think we've always waited for the certificate of appropriateness, but in this case, I think it would be more beneficial to get the architect in. So if we cancel the November meeting, what do you think about December, asking him to come to the meeting?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
I can do that.
Makes sense.
I was just gonna look up and see, they did give me the name, so let me just, give me 1 second.
That was my next question. Who is it?
I just gotta find the email, hold on 1 second. Jeff Shaw, he's Context Architecture, 68 Harrison Ave, Boston, Mass.
Okay.
I don't know who that necessarily is, but that's who was chosen. So I'll just send a nice letter out that says, we'll like to have you come in. They also have an OPM on the job. It's a gentleman named Steve Kirby from Vertex Engineering. They're out of Weymouth.
Mhm.
But I think it's more the architecture that be wrong. Do you want both of them to come?
If
Really?
they're available, yeah,
Okay,
would probably be a good idea.
okay. So that's all I really have heard to date on the fire station.
All right, the next thing was the Elm Street Cemetery, putting the fence on top of the tomb that had been value engineered out at this point. And last time we said if everybody could go take a look and form an opinion on whether they think it's necessary or not. We didn't really resolve, we just said everyone would go and take a look. So,
I didn't get a chance.
Points for being honest.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a look at it?
Yeah, but it was quite some time ago. I'm trying to remember what I thought at the time.
I wasn't at the last meeting, but I drive by it all the time.
Me too, but I don't look at that high.
It's an awkward, you know.
Bob, have you had a chance to take a look?
No, I haven't.
Should we table it for the next meeting then? Everybody take a look?
Yeah.
What's the status of that, Christine? We still haven't paid them the final amount or what?
I believe, yes, I think we're still holding something back on it. That's what I hope to meet with Derek tomorrow. I got to get the financial ends and some of the projects straightened out.
And just to be clear, it's the fence on the tomb towards the front that's right adjacent to the building next door.
Right.
By the barber shop, right?
And there is
Right.
there's a drop behind it that must be at least 10 feet, I would guess,
Yeah, maybe. It's pretty
in
tall.
between the building and the end of the tomb.
You know what's there now, though, is the lollipop tree from the barber shop. You know,
And it's not on the tomb.
no, but when you drive by, that's blocking the view between the two.
So you can't really get back there or anything. It kind of protects it.
I'm sure if you got out and walked around, but I think they must have taken the lollipop tree out because COVID.
Yeah.
That's really, you know what that is? It's really blood and bandages. That's what that symbolizes.
Oh,
It's an
yeah.
attractive nuisance when you drive.
Not a candy cane.
And that used to be the surgery.
Yeah.
Well,
All right,
yes,
so
let's just all take a look.
add it on for December.
Yeah.
Now, to get back to the November discussion, do you want to just cancel for November and go to December? Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to pick an
I
alternative.
think it's just going to be too crazy.
Yep. We got a couple of holidays there too that mess things
Yeah.
up.
Right.
Yeah, it's just. So the next thing was historic property inventory RFQ. That Derek was working on that.
Yeah, so, you know, we got approval from the council for the funding. And we got awarded the grant from Mass Historical.
Yeah.
And nobody put a bid in.
Oh my gosh.
So when I asked Derek to reach out to the bidders and ask why, and the comment back was, it was too little money for the work that had to be done because the structures were of such an age. There's something that Mass Historical was requiring, some changes in their Form B or something, or the way it's done. And so it would be a lot of work. So I asked Derek to go back to Mass Historical and see if we could cut the list in half and, you know, choose which ones and put it back out to bid. So I didn't talk to him today. I don't have the answer on that, but he had indicated to me that he was in touch with Mass Historical about that. And even though he's leaving, you know, technically today, he has agreed to stay and help us through a couple of things like that, where he was the contact, just to get it straightened out. If we put it back out to bid, then I'll pick it up from there. But I'll let you know what he has to say about that. But maybe if I would be looking to you folks for help, if he says they're willing, Mass Historical, to let us cut the list in half, which ones you think should be priorities for doing it. So the numbers that we had based it on were based on the last time we hired the, is it Broomer? Remember the woman that did, yeah. So her numbers were, we gave her a map and we said these structures within this area. So they weren't all as old as the list that was given out, but that's what we heard back, so. So we'll wait and see if Mass Historical will let us. Unfortunately, if they don't, we're gonna lose the funding and be back to square one, so.
Well, it was too much, too many properties, or the requirements are too many?
I think the work that had to be done to fulfill the Form B for Mass Historical was too much work because of their age. Is
For
what
each
I-
property.
Yeah, what I gleaned out of it. And it had something to do with some changes that have been made, maybe for a certain age structure or something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Did Derek talk with Michael Steinitz? about-
Yeah, when he put the grant together and everything, yeah, he'd been in conversation with him, so,
Maybe we need to talk with him again and tell him we've got to do something with this or we're going to lose. We'll get
Oh,
nothing done.
I agree, and I think that's what I'm not sure it's Michael himself that does the program, the grant funding, he's involved in it, so whoever the contact person he had been working with, the staff person, he had gone back. And I think, I got the impression from the last email, they were open to it, they didn't say no, but it hadn't been resolved. So if we could get them to do half of the list, we could always put another application back for the other half in the meantime and put it out. And that way we might have somebody that would do the work for that kind of money.
What's the timeline on the Mass Historical Funds?
I think the work has to be completed by June 30th. That's why I would want to get it out as soon as possible. But I can't,
Right, because
I have to wait for them where they're funding half of it to okay it.
oh, sure.
They sent us
I
the
mean,
state contract.
just speaking from, personal experience with the Thayer House roof. We got it. The process is so drawn out for all the steps that the state requires in terms of contract timelines. You have to do this by this date and this by this date, this by this date, and it takes forever. So we were fortunate that we got started with actual work, before the holidays, and that we finished it for all intents and purposes before the pandemic hit. There were other people who received grants that
Oh,
I think Bob froze.
I think Bob froze, yeah. What he was saying is that there were people that, couldn't meet their deadlines. It's an interesting point about we might, if we could ask for an extension because of COVID.
I think it's what I hope if he didn't get an answer today, I will get his contact person and try to reach out and see what happens with that. The thing with the state folks is a lot of them aren't working in their offices. So you make a phone call.
Answering the phone at Mass Historic, but because we've had trouble getting through to people, but there is somebody answering the phone and relaying messages.
Right. But I mean, it's not as quick as other times. It sometimes takes a day going back and forth.
Right.
But we certainly could ask about that. I don't see any reason.
Yeah, I think we could ask for an extension.
So I haven't signed any of the contracts or sent anything back because I want this resolved before we sign the contract. Because obviously we're obligated then. And I would hate to get in a situation where we have to go back for more funding without, I don't know how it would be explained, just that we wouldn't have the interest. But I think we'll just wait and see. I'll find out tomorrow from Derek when we sit down and go over everything.
So the next item we have is just other matters. Is there anything any of the members want to raise? Anything else to talk about?
No.
No? Ron? Kate?
I'll set you-
Nice to see See you all.
Yeah.
I have one question for you. I don't know if it would work. Unfortunately, Bob has now gone off. We have some of our other boards, it appears that now we're going to be Zooming meetings. For example, the planning board has decided to move their meetings up an hour earlier. Rather than 7 o'clock, they're going to be starting at 6. So for the new year, 21, we usually give you a schedule of dates. Maybe you want to be thinking about if you're content with the same day and you're content with the same time, that's fine. There's no excuse me.
Our community preservation meetings are at 5 o'clock, and we've had no trouble with that.
Yeah, I certainly would like to move them up before 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Even
Yeah.
6 would be better.
Yeah.
So, or the other thing is, I don't know, is this, Mondays seem to be good for folks, so, you know, is there another day? You can think about it anyways, but I'm just saying, before we set the schedule, you know, we always did it a year in advance, which is very helpful, but it was more to get the rooms that you wanted to get. And we'll continue to book the rooms should any reason we go back, but if you thought you wanted to make some change, it'd be good to do it now when we set the schedule up.
Would
Earlier
anybody
would be better.
would anybody be open to changing the day from a Monday, maybe like a Tuesday? I have the Gardeners
Other
Guild.
groups that meet on Tuesday, so.
Oh, because I have the Gardeners Guild and I miss all the meetings all the time.
Oh,
I'm open to days. Don't book time around me, but earlier is going to be a real challenge here. But
Okay.
I'll do my best. I get it. We're all in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only day that I have conflict is Thursday. Otherwise, I'm pretty free.
I mean, you guys have always been the first Monday of the month. CPC has always been the second Monday. And of course, there's so many Monday holidays that then it follows it up. But I mean, that's another option if you wanted to try to move it to another Monday night within the month. I mean,
It's a good idea.
you know, it doesn't matter to us in the office when you guys want it.
Santina, would that help you?
Yeah, that would help me out tremendously.
Yeah, then let's at least do that.
maybe like the
Okay.
second Monday.
That would be great.
What was that? I didn't hear.
Maybe like the meeting on the second Monday of the month, rather than the first
Well,
Monday.
the second Monday of the month is community preservation.
Like,
Third
okay,
Monday?
But the third or fourth Monday would be
Fine.
open.
Yeah, the third one.
That's fine with me.
It's fine with me.
All right, well, let me take a look. We're asking all the boards if we can juggle all the schedules and make everyone happy. I can come back and say, how about this, you know? And we'll leave the time at 7, but then maybe change the day to try to help. Does that sound like what you guys want to do?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, I can, you know, we're a 6-member board. I've asked the mayor about appointments for the 7th member. We just, you know, should that be brought up now with the new year as well to say,
It's a good time.
okay,
It's a good time to bring it up. I think it's a hard time to bring someone new on, but
We go through this every year.
Yeah.
nothing's changing right now. So
Yep. But I know that, you know, I was just asking because of the other day when we had the site visit, I was trying to figure out what is our quorum because it's 6. It should, yeah. And I asked the legal department and they said, well, why is there 6? And I said, well, there's supposed to be 7, so that's one problem. But
is it 3 though, Christine?
yeah, 50% was what she told me,
Yeah.
3. So luckily
three
you
will
all
do
get
it?
along, so. But if we get in a situation where we have a split vote, I don't know what we're gonna do. But, so, all right, so I will, I don't know what else is on your agenda there.
Oh, just the meeting minutes.
Oh, okay.
February and June. Meeting minutes, approval.
Because we all remember what happened before the world fell apart.
Yeah.
we are way, I can't even tell you, we're treading water to just, we lost a position in the office. Our principal planner's gone. And now Derek's gone, and honestly, it's, we're just reacting. So I apologize. I keep hoping someday I can just sit down and bang them out, but yeah, we're really behind in minutes.
Well, we can approve them. We read them a couple of times.
I will move the minutes for 2/3/20.
Seconded.
Hooray, all in favor?
So we
Aye.
have to
Roll
do a
call.
roll call.
Oh, that's right, do a roll call.
Sorry.
So Ron is in
Yeah.
favor, Santina
Favor, yes.
and Kate seconded, and Raina
In favor, aye.
and Bob.
Yes,
Hooray, unanimous. All right, so those are off the list.
So that's the minutes for 2/20, whatever it was. Now you've got the minutes of June
22nd.
22nd. And the only, I just saw a simple error in there under project updates.
Okay.
They were trying to put a fence over Tom and it was the tomb.
I saw
Tomb,
that
okay.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of Tom.
I saw that.
Correct that.
So is there a
Thank you,
motion to
Ron.
accept those June 22nd minutes as amended
I shall move those.
and seconded?
I second.
Santina, so that means we'll do a roll call. So Kate?
I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't think I can.
Oh, okay. I obviously don't have them open in front of me. Raina
Aye.
and Bob?
aye.
All right, that's unanimous as well then, with that modification, with that typographical error corrected.
Okay, thanks.
So we're done with those.
So I think that's pretty much the agenda, is it? I
That's
Yeah.
everything.
think we hit everything.
Well, with that, I'll move adjournment.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay. So we'll take a roll call now. Santina,
Yeah,
did you get that? Did you get that, Christine?
Yeah,
Bob? To
Yes.
adjourn? And Raina to adjourn?
Yes.
All right.
all right,
All in
great.
favor of adjournment?
Aye.
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 Okay.
So remember, you're off in November, but we'll probably be talking to you between now and your next meeting in
The
December.
next one is December. This will be the first Monday,
I'd like to, yeah, move the.
December 7th.
Yeah, I think that's the right date. So if there's anything too that you guys want on the agenda, just let myself or Elizabeth know and we'll get it on too.
The Thursday before is the deadline.
Yep.
Christina has to post it on Thursday.
All right, well, thank you very much for tonight.
Thank you.
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Everybody.
Night, everyone.
Everybody, stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bonsoir.